very own here at Media General. The news is already out, so I'm sure it's not a surprise to you. But if you woke up to that surprise, well, we get to speak to him exclusively right here on TV3 New Day. Kwesi Asare is the official winner of the 2023 BBC News Komla Dumor Excellence Award.
Congratulations.
Here you are.
Yeah.
New suit, new shoe, new socks. New watch.
Oh, no.
Charlie.
New shirt.
New shirt, new tie.
Guys, be nice
all that.
to me.
It's a new day.
Congratulations.
New haircut.
New haircut, new teeth. What else is new here? Tell us.
He
what
walked
did he
in
change?
smelling like the BBC.
He did, right?
Yeah.
Charlie.
It's a good day.
No, but this is a major honor. How do you feel?
Oh,
wow. Here we go.
It's exciting. It's a thrilling feeling, but it also feels like a lot of responsibility on my shoulders. The exciting part of it is that it's been 8 years since the Komla Dumor World News Award was launched by the BBC, and we've all been eagerly waiting for a Ghanaian to win this award. In fact, it's been won by 2 Ugandans, 2 Nigerians. In fact, they won back-to-back. There's also a Ugandan, Kenyan as well.
Yeah.
And then last year was won by a Zambian, the youngest ever. And I'm sure now would recall, in our days at EIB, the very maiden edition, the inaugural one, I entered.
Yeah.
And I came runner-up. It was won by Nancy Kakungira, who currently works for the BBC. Very much deserved, very much deserved. So it's been 8 years down the line, and then this year, I kind of felt like I should try again, you know, because every year I get my friends from different media houses approach me and say, you were runner-up in the very maiden edition. Let us know, what did you do right, or what did you not do right, so we also enter. So a lot of them have tried, and I just said, let me try again. And for me, I think between 2015 and now, a lot has happened in my life. A lot has changed. The very maiden edition in 2015, I think I just had 3 months of television experience. I just joined TV3 because I've done radio for a very long time. And so I just started television. I was very fresh to television. And so 8 years down the line, I've been in and out of the country. I've garnered a lot of experience for myself. I've become bolder. My understanding of global and national issues are better. I have a relatively better grasp of continental issues. And so I said, listen, I'm going to go for the juggler this time.
Yeah.
And
Here you are.
Here we go.
Well done. This is a big win for Ghana. And since the award was instituted in 2015, it's been a little sad, if I should say, that a Ghanaian hadn't won, seeing that it's an award scheme named after a Ghanaian journalist. The award has come home to Ghana now, and as Roland keeps saying, it's back home. Other winners have said that when they were first told that they had won, they were given strict instructions not to disclose this information to anybody until the main announcement was made globally. Were you given similar instructions?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I was, I was out of town actually. So I'd gone on holidays. So I was in Canada actually.
Okay.
You're chilling.
I got to Canada on the 7th. No, I left Ghana on the 17th. Got to Canada on the 18th of July. And then I got the news on the 19th.
That long?
No, it's just a day after I got to.
No, you've known since the 19th of July.
Yes. In fact, I think about 2 weeks to my travel, that's when because we went through several processes. So 2 weeks to my travel that I got an email that I had been shortlisted for the interview.
Okay.
And so I did the interview. So we're told on Friday, the interview was on Wednesday. So I did the interview, and then I had just about a week to travel. So I left. I couldn't really be bothered though. So I just
Are you sure you couldn't? I'm sure you're still a bit nervous. Just a bit nervous.
I didn't want to stress myself because I'd gone through this in 2015.
Yeah.
Come on, I'd gone through the interview stage. After I got an email 3 weeks later that, the judges have shortlisted 3 candidates and you're one of them. Yeah. And so it's very competitive. We'll get back to you on who eventually wins. Then later I hear Nancy has won, I'm runner-up. So I didn't really want to stress myself. So I left, and so they told me that. So they actually tricked me. They told me So I got the email on Friday before traveling on Monday that, so congratulations on the interview. The judges have shortlisted 3 candidates. You're one of them. But there's a final thing to do, which is happening on the Wednesday, the 19th. And so let's know your availability for that. You would, a BBC crew, you join a BBC crew for an interview or something.
Okay.
Then I was like, what's going on here?
At that point, didn't you think, even for a split second, that this could be coming home, finally?
I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to believe it. Because, you know, they're strict, there are terms, you know, for the award. So the final thing is the interview stage. So what else? I mean, could it be so close that they... I mean, there's no, like, football match where there's a 1-1 and you've got to play penalties. I mean, you get it. Even if there are 10 qualified people, the judges can say, okay, so based on this guy has something, you know, which far outweighs the other person. And the award says, listen, the judge's decision is final. You cannot challenge it. All right. So I said, okay, so... and then getting to the time, you know, the BBC, how they work, they would give you an idea of what you're going to, you know, talk about. Because the interview stage was an interview and an exam.
How many of you took that exam?
I had absolutely no idea,
Okay.
you know. But I know there were 10 slots, so,
I see.
you know.
Okay.
So there was no idea. And then all I get on the Wednesday morning was a link to a Zoom.
Okay.
So I started suspecting, and this was supposed to be 9 a.m. Canadian time. And then I log on, then 10 minutes to 9, they sent me an email and said, oh, sorry, we just finished an earlier interview, so we'd have to come back with you with another
time.
Another password.
Okay.
So it was 10 o'clock, 10 minutes past 10, 15 past 10. I said, the BBC cannot be this irresponsible with their time. Something must be going on.
Okay.
So then...
How do you call your pastor then?
Oh, I didn't call my pastor. Then 10:30, they just sent me the password. I log on, like, so where are you? I said, I'm in Canada. How long are you going to be there? I told them. So how's your name pronounced? I said, Kwesi Asare. Okay, so the reason we're doing all this is to let you know that you are the winner of the 2023 BBC World News Komla Dumor Award.
Wait. No. You need to act it out. Stop sitting there looking like that's how you took it. So how did you respond?
Oh my God, the BBC is going to release a trailer very soon, if not today or tomorrow. So they actually recorded that.
Oh my.
You know, yes, so they'll release that trailer.
Did you wear a nice suit?
Well, I was in a suit.
You were sitting, right? So they didn't see if you were in shorts?
No. Initially I was sitting, but they couldn't hear me well, so I had to stand. And so they recorded my reaction, the excitement.
Give us a pre-trailer to the trailer.
Oh, I was just elated. I'm sure they wanted drama. I gave them one.
Were there other people in the house?
Where I was?
Where you were?
No, I actually told them I was with my friends. I told them I had a very important interview. So
they had to leave.
they all left.
Oh, you gave them drama?
Yes.
Screaming, shouting?
Yes, I was making noise. Yes.
You know, I've never heard you speak louder than this. This is like your always voice. You were able to go higher than this for
Yes,
them.
I was.
You shouted a bit.
I made noise. I was excited.
Can't imagine
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it that
For someone who wasn't expecting it.
I had to come back 8 years
after
for this. It was humbling.
Okay.
It was humbling.
Now, Kwesi, get into the issues. And you know, we're in an environment where I think the journalists of any Ghanaian repute is now under extreme pressure, especially if you work in one of the leading media houses, if not the leading media house. If also you seem to have a certain reputation, it also means that excessively you're under extreme pressure. You also look at what's happening in the sub-region. Besides that, we've also had the incursions into the global sphere of China, into Africa, and then also all this crumble by the traditional powers for all that. What do you think is the foremost responsibility now, compared to the past, of the current average journalist who has gained that level of reputation?
Okay, I'll come back to your question shortly. Let me just wrap up with the last question. So yes, and then they told me that I shouldn't tell anybody about it. You know, but it was pretty difficult because you get here, everybody knows you were on leave for some time, and then you come and people are asking you, oh, but you were supposed to be away for this period of time, and only the managers knew about it. It was very difficult, but with time, people got to know. about it. Roland, to your question, I think that if you ask me, and I was telling Johnny on 3FM that in the last few years, it appears journalism in our part of the world has taken a new dimension where we're seeing journalists now venture into opinion journalism, you know, so we share our opinions on issues and all that. And sometimes people think that it is not the responsibility of journalists to be sharing their opinions on stories, and that what you're supposed to do is to present the facts for the people to make their own determination. And I think that to a larger extent, I agree. I think that what the continent needs today is balanced journalism, objective journalism. Nobody's asking media men to be neutral, because you really can't be neutral. We all vote, we all have our preferences. But when it comes to administering the job, it is important that you present a balanced story. You know, people need to know both sides of the story and to make a determination for themselves. It is not up to us journalists to skew the stories, you know, because we have our own prejudice of how we think it should go. And so if we are to have peace on the continent, and there's been a lot of blame put on journalism or the media for some of the wars that have happened in some of the African countries. And so we owe it to ourselves, we owe it to our community, we owe it to our citizenry to be factual with our stories. And I think that if there's anything that I would push for, is for journalists to dare to be objective.
Interesting one. Well, let's hear from the Group CEO of Media General, Madame Beatrice Agyemang, and she had some nice words to say to Kwesi.
Media General is excited about Kwesi Asare's selection as the winner of this prestigious award, particularly given that it is Ghana's first Komla Dumor award. We as management are encouraged by the fact that the media training and opportunities we provide our reporters have transformed them into world-class journalists, a recognition acknowledged by the BBC. We remain committed to doing more to further enhance the skills of our journalists.
Well, that's the Group CEO, Madame Beatrice Agyemang there. But this is certainly a pat on your back. But beyond that, how does this impact your work as a journalist, not just locally, but internationally?
I think that it challenges me a lot more. I told you about the enormous burden and responsibility I've started feeling. I was telling myself that on Sunday I was going to sleep very early, but I couldn't because I was thinking about today and what was going to happen and all the pressure that was going to, you know, everybody wants to know who this guy is and what he's been doing. And so beyond the congratulatory messages, I think that there's a responsibility on me to live up to the hype, to live up to the billing. And I think I'm going to take things one step at a time. I am eager to go to the BBC and to learn all that I can learn within the 3 months and to fraternize, to mingle, to build the friendships and the relationship that I need to build, and more importantly, to learn about how best to tell African stories, you know, because I'll be, as part of my placement also, I'll be traveling to an African country to tell a story that will be broadcast on BBC, television, radio, as well as online.
Which
so
country would it be?
I look forward to...
What will be your preference?
So, well, as part of the application process, you had to pitch a story. So I pitched a story. I think it was in Nigeria.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know if that's
I was going to suggest that you go to Nigeria.
Nigeria, I was going to
say. But you spoke about balance and objectivity earlier. And as a journalist, now going to be reporting on continental issues, balancing objectivity and empathy can be a very delicate aspect of journalism, especially when you're reporting on Africa. How do you navigate this balance so that you're able to present matters in an objective manner without being, as an African, maybe not too empathetic or too emotional about them?
Well,
I ask this question because a lot of global reportage on Africa has been criticized and seen to be one-sided. Maybe not too objective, maybe not as empathetic as should be. Now, you are Ghanaian African, going to be reporting on African issues. You're going to the BBC for 3 months, right? How do you think that you can navigate or balance this very delicate aspect of journalism?
I think for a long time the criticism has been that the West has often focused on the negatives,
Yes.
the wars, the killings, the instability, the hunger on the continent. And so, you know, from the time Komla started hosting Focus on Africa, within that period, there was a new narrative across the globe, which was Africa Rising. And so you'd recall that Komla was visiting, countries, you know, talking about the enormous opportunities within those regions, talking of the gold, the oil, and natural resources, and how we could harness them. And the fact that we had seen a lot of foreign direct investment, coming up within that time. So the BBC felt that we needed people who understood the continent because, like they say, until the lions learn to tell their own story, the tales of hunting would always glorify the hunter. And so you need to get people who are Africans, who understand the continent, who understand the environment, and report on those nuanced and authentic stories to the international world. And so, yes, there's hunger, but also there are good things happening. There are young people venturing into entrepreneurship, and doing good. And so talk about that as well. Okay, so nobody's saying that don't talk about the hunger, don't talk about the fighting, don't talk about the instability, but also talk about the good things. That's the balance,
right.
And I think that that's what I'll be looking at doing and learning a lot more. I really want to learn a lot more.
There's an aspect of growth, and I know that for your postgraduate education, you focus also on digital media and many other things in terms of its management and spread. If you look at the spread of social media, media content using the internet as a bigger platform, it also tends to be a crossroads with what the ethics of traditional media is. How do you think we need to create that balance, but knowing that the future is digital media?
Well, I think that new media has come to stay and has posed a great challenge to traditional media. In fact, we're having traditional media now chase after new media. And it offers people who hitherto didn't have direct access to broadcast, now unfettered access. So all you need is a mobile phone, sits in the comfort of your bedroom, and just tweet or report about something. The danger here is that a lot of this information is not sifted through. And so you have a lot of fake news and all that. And so although we are supposed to monitor social media and because it's really what the people are saying, and news is all about what the people's needs are. And so we pick a lot of feed from social media. But it's important as journalists to sift through this information. And that's why there's fact checking and all that. And to be sure that the information you're putting out is factual, because there are dangers also to putting out fake information, So new media, my guy, it's come to stay. It's come to stay.
Kwesi, you've been practicing for over a decade.
Yeah.
You worked with some of the biggest media houses in Ghana. What would you say has been your most difficult assignment as a journalist?
Well, I didn't specialize in business reports. Like, I didn't study. I did a bit of economics in the university, but from when I started working at Radio University and started my first job at City FM, I think my employers just thought this guy will do well as a business journalist, and so I started learning on the job and all that. But I was doing a lot of other things, doing politics, doing human interest stories. And I think I quite recall this question. I suspect it was asked of me during the interview stage, one of my challenging stories. And I think it will be that report on the abuse of gays and lesbians in Jamestown. This was somewhere in 2011, 2012. I was at Joy FM then. And it was very challenging because here I was as a journalist, and it brings to mind the issue of empathy also, you know. So you heard that gays and lesbians were being beaten and molested in Jamestown, and these were alleged gays and lesbians. And you know, we live in a community or society which is very, very...
Religious.
There are lots of religious bigots in this country, you know. And so you are a Christian as well, and you're asking yourself, how do you tell this story? First of all, the abuse on people's rights is wrong. I mean, you can't just beat somebody because you suspect he's a gay or a lesbian. You can't just do that, you know. But that suspicion also probably might be grounded in something. They said, what, they went for a gay party, you know, and you see these people holding their hands in public and all that. But I think I had to sit back because I had a lot of negative sentiments also from my family because they thought, why should you be reporting on the rights of these people? I said, they're human beings, you know, first of all. And I wouldn't be happy if my son or my brother was just being beaten for suspicion that he was a gay or a lesbian. And so I followed up this story for a whole week. I remember the story was carried through by the BBC for the whole week. I mean, it was a 5-day story that I did. And for me, the most important thing was to use the platform I had as a journalist to advocate for the protection and the rights of people, not to judge them for what they're doing, but for the fact that they were being molested without any basis.
Did you come under any personal attack because of the story?
I mean, people call me gay and all that, even in the newsroom, and I've had that I really can't be bothered.
Even in the newsroom?
Yeah.
So that means that even your own colleagues didn't seem to understand.
Yeah.
But this brings to light the conversation about the anti-LGBTQ bill at the moment, and when eventually it is passed into law, there have been concerns that tramples on the rights of people, regardless of whether they belong to that community or not. Even recently, we heard from the American ambassador to Ghana, who was saying that we need to be careful how we manage this because then it also affects our economy to a large extent because we send away investors who might be interested in investing in this country. For you as a journalist and where you stand, the fact that now you're going to be working with the international media, who to a large extent also are advocating against the passage of this bill into law, how are you going to manage the situation? Where do you stand on this?
Look, Bella, I'm not going to stand here and say it's an easy subject. So for most people who don't want to be attacked, they just don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't want to talk about it. It's a very, very difficult subject to talk about because if you're not careful, people are going to come at you and they'll come hard at you. But I always say this, he who feels it knows it, you know, and only because he or she's not your relative, you think you can sit back and pass judgment on people, you know. But I think that it's a subject that we've got to be very careful about. We've got to think deeply about it. Of course, we've got our value system as a people, which we need to protect. But is the antidote to these things that we call sinful or whatever, is it in beating people or stoning
But nobody's
them?
necessarily advocating for physical attacks because if you look at the bill, it talks more about imprisonment of people who may be involved in that and even people who propagate the message on behalf of the LGBTQ community. And that in particular, many have called to question because they're asking that, so what if I even talk about it on TV? Does it mean that I'm guilty and should go to jail for that? And which is why a lot of people are asking if we need to tweak it a bit more.
First of all, I think it's too harsh.
It's too harsh?
Yeah, I think it's too harsh. We can look at it again. I hope nobody comes after me, but I just think it's too harsh. And yes, nobody's talking about people beating people, but that's the first thing that comes to the minds of people when they see people doing those kinds of things, is to beat them. I think that we must reassess ourselves.